The colony ship Dawnseeker drifted in the cold darkness of space like a wounded animal. Its engines were dead. Its lights flickered weakly. Inside, 10,000 human souls waited to die. Captain Park stood on the bridge and stared at the emergency displays. Everything was red. The main engine had exploded 6 hours ago. Life support would fail in 48 hours. They were too far from Earth for any rescue ship to reach them in time. "How many escape pods do we have?" he asked quietly. His first officer checked the numbers. 212, sir. Capacity for about 800 people. Closed his eyes. 10,000 people. 800 seats. He would have to choose who lived and who died. Families would be torn apart. Children would watch their parents stay behind. He had led these people into the stars with promises of a new home, a new beginning. Now he would lead most of them to their graves. "Sir," the communications officer said suddenly, "we are receiving a signal. It is not human." The bridge went silent. Humanity had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. They had detected signs of alien civilizations but had never made contact. They were still small, still weak, still alone in a galaxy full of ancient powers. "Put it through," said. The voice that came through was strange and musical, like wind chimes in a soft breeze. The ship's computer translated it into rough English. "Unknown vessel. This is Elder Tellin of the Collective. We have detected your distress signal. Do you require assistance?" His hands trembled. He gripped the edge of his console to steady himself. "This is Captain Park of the human colony ship Dawnseeker. Our engines are destroyed. Life support is failing. We have 10,000 people aboard, including many children. We need help, please." There was a long pause. His heart pounded in his chest. He knew nothing about these aliens. They could be predators. They could be slavers. They could ignore the call and let them die. In the vast coldness of space, kindness was rare. The voice returned. "How many people did you say?" 10,000. Another pause, then, "Hold your position, we are coming." 3 hours later saw them through the viewport. The ships were small and graceful, shaped like silver leaves floating on an invisible wind. There were dozens of them, forming a protective circle around the dying human vessel. A shuttle docked with the Dawnseeker. Went to meet it personally, along with Doctor, the ship's chief medical officer. The airlock opened and saw an alien for the first time in his life. Elder Tellin was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes that seemed to hold infinite gentleness. His movements were slow and careful, like a person who had never known violence. Behind him stood several other, all watching the humans with open curiosity. "Captain Park," Tellin said, his voice soft. "I am Elder Tellin. We have come to help you." Bowed deeply. "Elder Tellin, I cannot express our gratitude, but I must be honest with you. We have 10,000 people. We have nothing to offer in return. We are a young species. We have no wealth, no advanced technology, no political power. We cannot repay you." Tellin tilted his head slightly. "Repay? Captain, I do not understand. Your people are dying. You have children aboard. What kind of beings would we be if we demanded payment for saving children?" Doctor stepped forward. "Elder, with respect, our scans show your ships are small. Your collective does not appear to be wealthy. Helping us will cost you greatly." Tellin was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, a gentle expression that seemed to light up his alien features. "Doctor, you are correct. We are not powerful, we are not wealthy. The greater civilizations of this galaxy ignore us, some even mock us. They say we are too soft, too weak. Perhaps they are right." He paused. "But my people believe that the measure of a civilization is not its weapons or its wealth. It is how it treats those who cannot help themselves. You are helpless. You are afraid. You have children who are crying for their parents. How could we fly away and let you die?" Over the next 36 hours, they worked without rest. They brought food from their own stores, nearly half of their annual supply. They brought medicine, blankets, water, and oxygen. Their engineers worked alongside human engineers to stabilize the Dawn Seeker's failing systems. Their doctors helped treat the injured and the sick. Watched a young female give her own meal packed to a human child who was crying from hunger. The child's mother tried to refuse, but simply pressed the food into the child's hands and walked away. "Why?" asked Elder Tellin as they stood together on the bridge. "You barely have enough for your own people. Winter is coming to your colony worlds. Your people will go hungry because of us." Tellin looked out at the stars. "Captain, my people have a saying, kindness planted in darkness will bloom in light. We do not help you because we expect reward. We help you because it is right. Perhaps one day, many years from now, your people will be strong. Perhaps you will remember this moment. Perhaps you will not. It does not matter. What matters is that today we had the power to help and we chose to use it." The repairs took 4 days. When the Dawn Seeker's engines finally hummed back to life, a cheer went up through the entire ship. Children laughed, parents wept, strangers embraced each other. Before the departed, requested a formal meeting with Elder Tellin. The entire crew of the Dawn Seeker gathered in the cargo bay, all 10,000 of them, packed together, watching. Walked to the center of the bay where Elder Tellin stood. Then, slowly, the captain lowered himself to his knees. Behind him, every single human in the cargo bay did the same. 10,000 humans knelt before a single alien elder. Elder Tellin said, his voice rough with emotion, "We are a young species. We have nothing to give you, but I make you this promise, and I make it before every man, woman, and child of my people. We will remember this day. We will teach our children about your kindness. I will know your name. And when the day comes, whether it is 10 years from now or 1,000 years from now, when they need help, humanity will answer. This I swear on my life and the lives of all who come after me." Elder Tellin looked at the sea of kneeling humans. His dark eyes glistened with tears. "Captain," he said softly, "you do not need to kneel. You owe us nothing." "We owe you everything," replied, "and we will not forget." The departed. The Dawn Seeker continued its journey and eventually founded humanity's first successful colony. Captain Park made sure that every child born in that colony learned the story of the tale was passed from generation to generation, from parent to child, from teacher to student. The rest of the galaxy dismissed it as a footnote. A weak species had helped a primitive one. It meant nothing. They were unimportant. The humans were insignificant. No one cared about promises made in the darkness between stars. But humans have long memories, and they always pay their debts. 150 years passed. The galaxy turned. Empires rose and fell. New stars were born and old ones died, and through it all humanity grew. Admiral stood before the observation window of Earth's largest space station and watched the planet spin slowly below. He was a tall man with at his temples and scars on his hands. His grandfather had been born on the Dawn Seeker colony. His grandmother had told him the story of when he was just a boy, sitting on her knee in front of a warm fire. "The blue people saved us," she had said, her old eyes distant with memory. "When we had nothing, when we were going to die, they gave us their food, their medicine, their hope. Your great-great-grandfather knelt before their elder and made a promise. Do you understand, little? We owe them a debt, and our family never forgets." Had grown up with those words burned into his heart. Now he was Admiral of the United Earth Defense Fleet, and he had spent his entire career preparing for a day he hoped would never come. Behind him the door opened. Ambassador Shin entered the room. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and sharper words. The diplomatic corps feared her. Foreign powers respected her. She had never lost a negotiation. "Admiral," she said, "we have a problem." She handed him a data tablet. On it was a message, poorly encoded, obviously smuggled through a dozen relay stations to avoid detection. The message was short. "They are killing us. The Dominion takes our children for labor camps. They burn our food stores to keep us weak. Our elders are dying. We have sent messages to the Galactic Council. No one answers. No one cares, please. Does anyone remember the humans we saved? Does anyone remember the Dawn Seeker? Please help us." Read the message 3 times. His hands did not shake, his face did not change. But inside his chest, something cold and hard began to form. "When did this arrive?" he asked. 6 hours ago. I came directly to you." "Have you shown the President?" "Not yet. I wanted to speak with you first." Paused. They are the ones who saved the Dawn Seeker, are they not?" "Yes." "And the Dominion of has held their worlds as a protectorate for the past 80 years." "Yes." Was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "What are you thinking, Admiral?" Turned back to the observation window. Below, Earth glittered with the lights of 1 billion homes. Humanity had come so far. They had built cities on Mars, stations in the asteroid belt, colonies on 12 worlds. They traded with alien species, learned their languages, studied their technologies. But they had also been careful, very careful. "Tell me, Ambassador," said slowly, "what does the galaxy think of humanity?" Smiled thinly. "They think we are clever but weak, good engineers, decent traders. We make reliable starship components and our food is popular in the outer rim markets. They see us as a minor power, useful but not important, certainly not a threat. And our military. Official reports suggest we have perhaps 200 combat-capable vessels, enough to defend our core systems but nothing more. The Dominion of has over 3,000 warships. The Collective Assembly has 5,000. Even the minor powers have fleets larger than ours." She paused. "That is what they believe." Nodded slowly. "And what is the truth?" The truth was hidden in asteroid fields and gas giant clouds. The truth floated in the darkness between stars, silent and waiting. The truth was 4,000 warships, each one more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity had spent a century and a half preparing. They had learned from every species they met. They had studied every technology, every weapon, every tactic, and then they had improved upon all of them. The galaxy thought humans were sheep. They did not know that the sheep had wolves' teeth. "Activate Protocol Remembrance," said quietly, "and schedule a meeting with President. It is time." 3 days later, stood in the President's private office along with Ambassador and General O, head of military intelligence. President was an old man with kind eyes and heavy shoulders. He had led humanity through 20 years of peace. Now was asking him to consider war. The said slowly, looking at the smuggled message, "I know the story. Every child on Earth knows the story. But Admiral, what you are proposing, it would reveal everything we have hidden, every secret, every weapon, every ship. The galaxy would know what we truly are." "Yes, sir." There would be consequences, fear, suspicion, perhaps even a coalition against us. "Yes, sir." Looked at the message again. "They are killing children, taking them for labor camps." "Yes, sir." The President was quiet for a long time. Finally, he looked up. "General O, what are our chances?" General O was a patient man who never spoke without thinking. He had spent 40 years studying the galaxy's military powers. "The Dominion of is strong," he said, "but they are arrogant. They have never faced a true challenge. Their tactics are predictable. Their technology is good but not exceptional. If we strike fast and hard with full force, we can destroy their military presence in space within days. The question is not whether we can win. The question is what happens after we win." "The galaxy will be afraid of us," Ambassador added. "They will wonder what else we have hidden. They will question every trade deal, every treaty, every handshake. Trust will be broken." President nodded slowly. "And if we do nothing?" Silence filled the room. "If we do nothing," said finally, "then we are not who we say we are. For 150 years we have told ourselves that we are a people who remember. We have taught our children that honor means keeping promises. We have built statues to Captain Park and Elder Tellon. We have named schools and hospitals after them. If we abandon them now when they need us most, then all of it was a lie. Every story, every promise, every lesson, all of it means nothing. President closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there was steel in his gaze. Admiral, sir, you have command of the fleet. Ambassador, prepare a formal demand for the Galactic Council. We will give them one chance to do the right thing. If they refuse, he paused. Then we will do what we should have done 80 years ago. We will bring our friends home. Deep in the asteroid fields, in the hidden shipyards that no scanner had ever found, lights began to flicker on. Engines that had been silent for decades hummed to life. Crews who had trained in secret for their entire careers finally received the orders they had been waiting for. Humanity was going to war, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive dome of crystal and light, floating in orbit around a neutral world. Here, the great powers of the galaxy gathered to discuss trade, borders, and the occasional war. Here, the strong made rules and the weak obeyed them. Ambassador Shin walked into the chamber alone. She wore a simple black suit. She carried no weapons, no guards, no aides. Around her, delegates from 100 species watched with curiosity and mild amusement. The humans were requesting an emergency session. How interesting. How quaint. At the center of the chamber sat the Council of Five, representatives of the 5 most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Among them was Overlord of the Dominion of. He was a massive creature, nearly 3 meters tall, with armored skin and small, cruel eyes. His species had conquered 40 worlds. They believed that strength was the only law that mattered. The representative from Earth may speak, the council speaker announced. Stepped forward, her voice was calm and clear. Honored members of the council, I come before you today to discuss the people and their treatment under Dominion rule. For 80 years they have lived as subjects of the Dominion of. In that time they have suffered greatly. Their population has declined by 60%. Their children are taken for forced labor. Their elders are medicine. Their food is stolen to feed Dominion soldiers. They are dying. Slowly, quietly, but certainly. She paused and looked directly at Overlord. Earth formally requests that the Galactic Council intervene. We ask that the be granted independence and protection under galactic law. For a moment there was silence. Then Overlord began to laugh. It was an ugly sound like rocks grinding together. The humans speak for insects, he said, his voice booming through the chamber. They are weak. They cannot fight. They cannot build. They are useful only as workers. They belong to the Dominion by right of conquest. This is the way of the galaxy. The strong rule, the weak serve. They are people, said quietly. They have the right to live free. Rights, leaned forward, his small eyes glittering. Rights are for those who can defend them. The cannot, you cannot. Know your place, human. You are a young species. You have a small fleet and a few colony worlds. Do not pretend to be something you are not. Did not flinch. Then the Dominion refuses to release The Dominion refuses to listen to the barking of small animals. Waved a massive hand dismissively. Go back to your little planet, human. Play with your toys. Leave the business of empires to those who understand it. Turn to the other council members. Will anyone support Earth's request? Silence. The other delegates looked away. Some seemed uncomfortable, but none spoke. The Dominion was too powerful. They were too unimportant. No one wanted to risk war over a species that could offer nothing in return. I see, said softly. She was quiet for a moment. Then she straightened her shoulders and spoke in a voice that carried to every corner of the chamber. Let the record show that Earth came to this council in peace. We asked for justice through proper channels. We were refused. We asked for mercy. We were laughed at. We asked for help. We were ignored. She paused. We gave you the chance to do this the right way. Remember that. Without another word, she turned and walked out of the chamber. Overlord watched her go with amusement. Strange creatures, these humans, so emotional, so naive. He turned to his aide. Send a message to our forces in space. Increase the labor quotas. If the humans love the insects so much, let them watch them work harder. He laughed again. The other delegates shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Far from the council chamber, in the darkness of space, shadows began to move. Commander Nara was a ghost. She had spent 20 years in Earth's special forces, learning to move unseen, to strike without warning, to disappear before anyone knew she had been there. Now she led a team of 50 soldiers on the most important mission of her life. Their ship was small and fast, painted black, designed to absorb scanner signals like a sponge absorbing water. It slipped past Dominion patrol lines without a whisper. It landed in the dead of night, in a valley far from any settlement. Nara and her team moved quickly through the darkness. They wore no uniforms, carried no identification. If they were caught, Earth would deny any knowledge of them. They would die alone and unmourned. But they would not be caught. Their mission was simple: find the resistance, establish contact, and begin evacuating civilians. Somewhere on this world, there were people who still remembered the old stories, people who still believed that help would come. They found them in an underground bunker beneath the ruins of an ancient temple. 200, thin and afraid, huddled together in the darkness. When Nara's team entered, they scrambled back in terror, expecting Dominion soldiers. Nara removed her helmet. She was human. They stared in disbelief. "Who are you?" an old asked, his voice trembling. "My name is Commander. I am Nara of United Earth. 150 years ago, your ancestors saved our people. A human captain made a promise that we would never forget. We are here to keep that promise." The old began to weep. "We sent the message. We did not think anyone would hear. We did not think anyone would come." "We heard," Nara said simply. "And we are here, but this is only the beginning. More are coming, many more. We are going to take you home." Over the next 3 weeks, human infiltration teams spread across space. They moved in secret, extracting civilians through hidden corridors, smuggling them onto ships that carried them to safety. The Dominion noticed that we're disappearing but could not understand how. Their security was supposed to be perfect. Their surveillance covered every meter of territory. But humans were patient. Humans were clever. And humans had been planning this for a very long time. Back on Earth in the hidden shipyards, the fleet was ready. 4,000 warships floated in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Fighters filled their bays. Marines filled their barracks. Every crew member knew what they were fighting for. Every soldier carried a small card in their pocket with the same words printed on it. "We remember, we repay, we do not forget." Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Remembrance. He looked at the fleet arrayed before him, the full might of humanity, hidden for generations, now ready to be revealed. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "we are receiving confirmation from Commander Nara. Extraction operations are complete. 80% of civilians have been evacuated to safe zones. The rest are in protected shelters." Nodded slowly, "And the Dominion forces?" "Standard deployment. They have no idea we are coming." Was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice calm and steady. "All ships, this is Admiral. 150 years ago we made a promise. Today we keep it. Set course for space. Maximum speed." The fleet moved as one, engines blazing, stars streaking past. They were not going to negotiate. They were not going to threaten. They were going to war. And the Dominion had no idea that their world was about to end. Fleet commander of the Dominion was bored. He had been stationed in space for 6 years, watching over a conquered people who could not fight back. There was no glory here, no battles to win, only endless patrols and paperwork and the slow, grinding misery of occupation duty. He sat on the bridge of his flagship, the Conqueror's Pride, and watched the stars through the viewport. 800 Dominion warships surrounded the... It was overkill, really. They had no military. They were farmers and poets and dreamers. Crushing them required no skill at all. "Commander," his sensor officer said suddenly, "we are detecting energy signatures at the edge of the system." Frowned. "What kind of signatures?" I am not certain, sir. The readings are unusual, multiple contacts, large contacts." "How many?" The sensor officer was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was strange. "Sir, I am counting. I am counting over 4,000 ships." Laughed. "Your sensors are malfunctioning. Run a diagnostic." "I have run 3 diagnostics, sir. The readings are accurate. 4,216 vessels. They are human, sir." Stopped laughing. He stood slowly and walked to the sensor station. The display showed a wall of contacts, emerging from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. The number kept climbing as more ships arrived. "That is impossible," he whispered. "The humans have 200 ships. Intelligence confirmed it." "Sir, incoming transmission. It is being broadcast on all frequencies." The main screen flickered. A human male appeared, wearing a black military uniform. His face was calm, almost peaceful, but his eyes were hard as stone. "This is Admiral of United Earth," the human said. 200 years ago, the people saved 10,000 humans when they had no reason to. They gave us their food, their medicine, their hope. Our ancestors made a promise that day. We told them we would remember. We told them we would repay our debt. Today, we keep that promise." Felt his blood run cold. "To the Dominion forces in space," the Admiral continued. "You have one chance. Leave now. Abandon your positions. Return to Dominion territory. If you do this, we will let you go in peace. If you refuse..." He paused. "There will be no second warning. There will be no negotiation. There will be no mercy. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended. For a moment, no one on the bridge moved, then slammed his fist against the console. "Arrogant insects. They think they can threaten the Dominion. They think their numbers mean anything." He turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to all ships. Battle formation. We will crush these humans and teach them what it means to challenge their betters." His officers exchanged nervous glances but obeyed. 800 Dominion warships moved into attack position. They were veterans of a dozen campaigns. They had never lost a battle. Smiled grimly. "When I bring the human admiral's head to Overlord, I will finally get the promotion I deserve." 1 hour passed. The human fleet did not move, took this as a sign of fear. "All ships," he ordered, "attack." The Dominion fleet surged forward, weapons charging, shields blazing. They had fought countless battles against countless enemies. They knew exactly what to expect. Superior firepower, overwhelming force, a quick and brutal victory. They were wrong. The human fleet moved like a single organism. Ships that seemed scattered suddenly formed into tight geometric patterns. Gaps appeared in their formation, drawing Dominion vessels into kill zones. Weapons fired with impossible precision, each shot finding weak points in Dominion shields. Lieutenant flew her fighter through the chaos, her heart pounding with fierce joy. She was 26 years old, born on the Mars colony, trained since childhood for this moment. Her grandmother had been a child on the Dawn Seeker. Her mother had told her the stories every night before bed. "Squadron 7 on me," she called into her communicator. "We are going for the flagship." 12 fighters followed her into the heart of the battle. Dominion point defense systems tried to track them, but the human fighters were too fast, too agile. They wove through walls of fire like dancers, their movements almost beautiful in their deadly grace. Saw the Conqueror's Pride ahead, massive and bristling with weapons. Its engines glowed bright blue as it tried to maneuver toward the human command ship. "Target the engine array," ordered. Concentrated fire on my mark. Her squadron formed up behind her. They dove toward the flagship, ignoring the explosions around them, ignoring the debris, ignoring the screaming voices on the Dominion communication channels. Mark. 12 fighters fired as one. Their weapons were small compared to the flagship's massive bulk, but they were precise. They struck the same point again and again, burning through armor, melting through conduits, reaching the reactor feeds beneath. The Conqueror's pride shuddered. Its engines flickered and died. The massive ship began to drift, powerless, helpless. On the bridge, Commander stared at the displays in disbelief. His fleet was being torn apart. Ships that had seemed invincible were burning, breaking, dying. The humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. They predicted his tactics before he gave the orders. They exploited weaknesses he did not know existed. How, he whispered, how is this possible? His sensor officer looked up, his face pale with terror. Sir, they have been planning this for decades, maybe longer. Every move, every weapon, every tactic. They knew exactly what we would do. They were ready for everything. Slumped in his command chair, in that moment he understood. The humans had never been weak. They had never been harmless. They had simply been waiting, patient, silent, preparing for the day when their debt would come due. And now that day had arrived. On the below, Keeper Solon stood outside his shelter and watched the sky burn. He was very old now, older than any other. His great-grandfather had met the humans of the Dawn Seeker. He had told stories of that day his entire life, even when no one believed him, even when the younger said he was foolish to hope. Now ships were falling from the sky, but they were not ships. They were Dominion ships, broken and burning, crashing into the empty plains far from the cities. And from the heavens, new ships were descending, dark ships, human ships. The first landed near Solon's shelter. Soldiers in black armor emerged, moving quickly and efficiently. But they did not point their weapons at They pointed them outward, forming a protective ring. A young soldier approached Solon. She removed her helmet, revealing a human face, young and strong. Elder, she said, kneeling before him. I am Sergeant of United Earth. We are here. We remembered. Solon felt tears streaming down his face. My great-grandfather, he whispered. He told me. He said the humans made a promise. He said they would come back. I believed him, even when everyone laughed, even when the Dominion said no one cared about us. I believed. Smiled gently. Your faith was not misplaced, Elder. The captain of the Dawn Seeker knelt before your ancestor and swore an oath. We have been preparing to fulfill that oath for 150 years. Every human child knows your story. Every human soldier carries your memory in their heart. Above them, the battle was ending. The Dominion fleet, 800 ships strong, had been reduced to scattered wreckage in less than 6 hours. A few survivors fled into hyperspace, carrying tales of horror back to there. The rest were gone, destroyed, erased. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Remembrance and watched the last Dominion ship burn. Admiral, his communications officer said, Dominion forces have been neutralized. All sectors report secure. Civilian casualties are minimal. Ground teams have established protective perimeters around all major population centers. Nodded slowly. He felt no joy, only a heavy sense of duty fulfilled. Open a channel to the surface, he said. All frequencies, let them hear this. He spoke slowly, his voice carrying to every on the planet below. People of 200 years ago, you saved our ancestors when we were helpless and afraid. You gave us hope when we had none. You showed us kindness when you had every reason to look away. We never forgot. We never stopped preparing, and now, at last, we have come to repay our debt. You are free. The Dominion will never hurt you again. We swear it. Below, across people emerged from shelters and hiding places. They looked up at the sky full of human ships and wept. They embraced each other. They fell to their knees and thanked gods they had almost stopped believing in. Keeper Solon stood among them, his old heart full to bursting. They remembered, he whispered. After all this time, they remembered. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. The Dominion of, one of the most powerful military forces in known space, had lost 80% of its combat fleet in a single battle. 800 warships, crewed by veteran soldiers, equipped with weapons that had conquered 40 worlds, all destroyed in 6 hours by a species everyone had dismissed as harmless traders and clever engineers. In the great halls of galactic power, leaders gathered to watch recordings of the battle. They watched human ships move in formations that seemed to predict the future. They watched human weapons cut through shields that were supposed to be invulnerable. They watched the Dominion fleet burn. And they were afraid. On the Dominion, Overlord received the news in his throne room. He listened to the report in silence. When the messenger finished speaking, sat motionless for a long time. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked finally. 600 combat-capable vessels, my lord. Perhaps another 200 that can be repaired. And the humans? Our intelligence suggests they lost fewer than 50 ships in the battle. Their fleet is essentially intact. Closed his small eyes. He remembered the human ambassador in the council chamber, small and alone, asking for mercy. He remembered laughing at her. He remembered telling her to know her place. Now her people had a fleet of 4,000 warships, and his empire had 800. "Summon the council," he said heavily. "I must speak with them." 3 days later, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. Every delegate was present. Every eye was fixed on the human representative. Ambassador Shin stood in the center of the chamber exactly as she had before, but everything had changed. The delegates who had ignored her now watched her with fear. The Council of Five, who had laughed at her request, now leaned forward in their seats, waiting to hear what she would say. "The representative from Earth may speak," the speaker said. His voice was not amused this time. It was careful. Smiled slightly. "Honored members of the Council, I come before you today to discuss recent events in space. As you are aware, Earth's military forces engaged and defeated a Dominion fleet that was illegally occupying territory. The people have been liberated. There is now under Earth's protection." Overlord rose from his seat, his massive form trembling with barely controlled rage. "This is an act of war," he bellowed. "The humans attacked Dominion forces without provocation. They must be punished. I demand that the Council—" "Sit down." His voice was quiet, but it cut through shouting like a blade. The Overlord stopped mid-sentence, staring at her in shock. "You do not give me orders, human." "No," agreed. "I do not, but I suggest you listen anyway." She turned to address the full council. "Before the battle, we gave the Dominion a chance to withdraw peacefully. They refused. We gave them an hour to reconsider. They attacked instead. Every ship we destroyed, every soldier we killed, they chose that fate themselves." She paused, letting her words sink in. Now Overlord speaks of punishment. He demands justice. Very well, let us discuss justice. She pressed a button on her data pad. Images appeared on the main screen: mass graves, labor camps, children in chains. For 80 years, the Dominion has committed atrocities against the people: forced labor, starvation, murder. We have evidence of over 2 million deaths directly caused by Dominion policies. 2 million people killed because they were weak and could not fight back. The chamber was utterly silent. "The Overlord asks for justice," continued. "But he does not want justice. He wants to continue doing whatever he wishes to whomever he wishes without consequence. That is not justice. That is tyranny." She looked directly at. "The era of tyranny is over." His face twisted with hatred. "You think you have won, human? You think one battle changes anything? The galaxy is vast. You cannot protect everyone. You cannot be everywhere. Sooner or later you will make a mistake. And when you do—" "When we do what?" asked calmly. "You will attack us with what fleet? You will threaten us with what power?" She shook her head slowly. You still do not understand, Overlord. We hid our strength for 150 years. We let you believe we were weak because we did not want war. We wanted peace. We wanted to live quietly among the stars, but we also knew that someday we might need to fight, so we prepared, silently, patiently, for generations. She took a step toward him. You ask what we will do if we make a mistake. Let me tell you what we will do. We will learn from it, we will adapt, we will become stronger, and we will remember. That is what humans do, Overlord. We remember. We remember our friends, we remember our enemies, and we never ever forget. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then the speaker cleared his throat. Earth's actions are noted by the Council. Does Earth have any demands? Nodded. The in all territories will be recognized as sovereign and independent. Any future aggression against them will be considered an act of war against Earth. Additionally, we request that the Council establish formal protections for minor species against exploitation by major powers. No more labor camps, no more forced occupations, no more quiet genocides while the galaxy looks away. And if the Council refuses, smiled thinly, then we will protect the weak ourselves, with or without your approval, but I think you will find it easier to work with us than against us. The vote was held. The motion passed unanimously. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy slowly adjusted to the new reality. Human ships patrolled space, keeping watch, keeping the peace. Human doctors and engineers arrived by the thousands to help rebuild. Human teachers opened schools. Human farmers shared crops and techniques. They who had lived under oppression for so long slowly began to heal. Keeper Solon became something of a celebrity. Journalists from across the galaxy came to interview him, to hear the story of the Dawn Seeker, to understand why the humans had waited so long and planned so carefully to repay a debt that most species would have forgotten in a single generation. "What do you think of the humans?" one journalist asked him. Solon smiled, his old face creasing with warmth. 200 years ago, a human captain knelt before my ancestor and made a promise. My ancestor did not ask for that promise. He did not expect it to be kept. He showed kindness because kindness was the right thing to do, not because he hoped for reward. He paused, looking up at the human ship still visible in the daytime sky. But the humans remembered anyway. For 200 years, they told their children about us. They built ships in secret. They trained soldiers in secret. They prepared for a war they hoped would never come, all because one captain made a promise to one old in the darkness between stars. The journalist leaned forward. "Does that frighten you, that kind of dedication?" Solon laughed softly. "Frighten me? No, it gives me hope. In this galaxy there are many species who only care about power. They take what they want and destroy what they cannot use. But the humans, they are different. They remember kindness. They repay debts. They protect the weak." He shook his head slowly. "Perhaps that is why some fear them. It is easy to predict what a selfish creature will do. But a creature that keeps its promises, that remembers its friends, that waits patiently for decades to repay a debt of honor, that kind of creature is dangerous in a way that weapons can never match." Across the galaxy, in the halls of empires and the homes of the oppressed, a new phrase began to spread. It was whispered in markets and shouted in protests. It was written on walls and spoken in prayers. "Be kind to the humans, they remember." President addressed the people of Earth one final time on the matter. "We did not seek this war," he said, his old voice steady and calm. "We did not want to reveal our strength. For generations we have lived quietly, hoping that the galaxy would become a better place on its own. But hope is not enough. Sometimes you must act. Sometimes you must stand up for those who cannot stand for themselves." He paused, his eyes bright. "Let this be the lesson we teach our children and their children after them. Remember your friends, honor your promises, protect the weak, and never, ever forget that kindness matters. In a galaxy full of darkness, kindness is the light that guides us home." On a small colony world at the edge of human space, a young girl sat on her grandmother's knee and listened to the story of the Dawn Seeker. She heard about Captain Park and Elder Tellin. She heard about the promise and the waiting and the war. "Will we always remember?" the girl asked. Her grandmother smiled and kissed her forehead. "Always," she said. "That is who we are. That is what makes us human." Outside, the stars shone bright and cold and endless. And somewhere among them, in the spaces between worlds, the galaxy had learned a simple truth. Humans never forget, and they always repay their debts.